Ever wanted a haunted doll or something possessed? Well, you can easily purchase it online. Stay tuned, I'll tell you more. So welcome back to the Brac Shop. Now, have you ever wondered about those possessed dolls and haunted objects? Well, sometimes people have just acquired them, or they've become haunted. But if you actually want one, you can go and get one. And there are lots of sites where you can go and get them. And I'm going to tell you. Now, if you do like this episode, as I've said before, just please click the like button. Also, if you like these episodes, why don't you subscribe if you haven't already, so you'll be updated when I release a new one. And also, click the bell so you'll be notified every time I do release a new one. So, if you want a haunted doll, a haunted teddy bear, or something haunted, just look online. There are vast websites out there selling possessed and haunted objects. There's Amazon, there's eBay, Etsy, and a few others as well. In fact, there's quite a few. But why do you want a haunted object or a possessed object? Write in the comments below and let me know, because I don't know why you'd want something in your house unless you've acquired it without knowing. Because you can get objects that are demonized, and why would you want that? I'm sure there's a reason. So please let me know. Or you can get an object with a spirit attached to the doll or the teddy bear or the child's toy. And some of these spirits I've been reading up are actually, they can help you, and they can comfort you in times of trouble. And I suppose people are beginning to have these objects like people have pets, like dogs and cats. And they just know that they're there, because some of these stories that I'm finding out, you've got dolls that inhabited by spirits that are lost, and it's a vessel. A lot of people are beginning to call these objects like dolls and even bowls and things like vessels where the spirits are actually staying. And these vessels contain the spirits. It's a bit like the genie in the lamp, or Aladdin and the lamp, where the lamp, which back in the old days was actually like an oil container, like a bowl which had oil in it, and from there the fire would burn from the spout, an oil lamp. And the story of Aladdin and his lamp was that he would rub the lamp, and the genie would appear and give him his wishes. So maybe that's why people want a spirit in their doll. So maybe they can ask the spirit to grant them their wishes. That's one theory. Write down in the comments and let me know what you think. They also say that objects like dolls and teddy bears and children's toys, for instance, get possessed because a child loves the toy so much, and they are devoting so much energy to the doll that I suppose you could say they energize the doll with feelings and emotions, vibrations and energies. And sometimes it can start something in the object, especially if it's in a house where there's paranormal activity. This can actually stimulate or start off something in the doll or the toy to start having a life of its own, so to speak. Or something could possess the doll, or even start having a life of its own. Because I've been reading of so many different stories, because you can go on these websites, as I mentioned, and there's countless pictures of dolls and toys and teddy bears. And there is one doll that apparently is inhabited by an 11-year-old boy. And it's quite a sad story. Now, his house was broken into, and him and his parents were murdered. And, well, apparently his mother also used to collect dolls. And he had a little sister who died prematurely. And as a sort of a comfort, his grandmother gave his mother a doll, and which she liked very much, obviously. And they say that this doll is inhabited by this 11-year-old boy because he feels lost. And he knows his mother likes the doll, and so she'll come back and take the doll and he'll find his mother. And that's why this child has attached itself to this doll. And I saw it advertised on one of the websites to be sold. And hopefully it will go to a new owner. But why are they keeping the 11-year-old in the doll? That's what I would like to know. Why don't they try and talk to it and release it and let it go on its way? Because I'm sure it's just an automatic thing, hopefully, that when we pass on, we then go on to the next stage. But then again, maybe people have, and he feels safer to stay with the doll because there is some sort of security and grounding there for him. After all, he is an 11-year-old child. And also, I've heard about the wardrobe. Mrs. Barclay's wardrobe. Now, this appeared back in the London Morning Post back in 1937. There was an ad saying there was a wardrobe for sale, and a haunted wardrobe, and hopefully you'd be able to take the ghost with it as well. Interesting. Now, the wardrobe was actually bought 3 years prior to that for £10 from a home sale. Everything in this home was being sold, and this lady bought this wardrobe to put in her guest room. And she put it in there, and it was all right for a while, but then she noticed the doors of the wardrobe would open and shut quite a bit, and quite noisily as well. And it became quite frequent and quite loud that her guests were getting to be a bit annoyed and upset about it. And her servants were beginning to notice it as well. And so she decided to tie the doors up with pieces of rope, and so they couldn't open and shut. She found that the ropes were broken and the doors were open again, swinging and shutting and banging. So she decided just to leave it alone. But apparently it got worse. It scared a few of the servants. In fact, a few of the servants resigned, even the cook. And her house guests wouldn't stay that long. They'd leave. It got quite worse, and then she began noticing a gentleman stepping out of the wardrobe and going down the stairs and leaving the house. He was dressed in old Victorian attire with a deer-stalking hat on. Sounds a bit like Jack the Ripper. He wore something similar. And could the wardrobe be something like a portal, like the television series Doctor Who, a TARDIS, where someone was actually coming in through the wardrobe? All these questions, but she couldn't explain it, and back in 1937 they didn't have Doctor Who either. But it was all getting a bit annoying, and she wasn't the only one that saw this ghost coming from the cupboard and leaving the house. Her servants and her brother also saw it as well. In the end, it just got too much for her, and so she decided to sell it. She put the ad in the paper, and that actually attracted a lot of letters, questions, and even pranksters that would come to her house and throw stones at her house and ridicule her as well. And she managed to finally sell it. And she sold it to Mr. Rundle, In fact, she sold it to him for £50. A nice profit of £40 back in 1937. And he put it in his outhouse, actually, because he didn't have much room in his house. And he actually attracted the pranksters as well. And he experienced things with the wardrobe as well. Doors were opening and closing, banging, and there was this noise that would come from it as well. In fact, his wife, Mrs. Rundle, said it sounded like an aeroplane. More like the TARDIS. And it was really strange. People would write in. They actually would write in and they gave their pieces of advice. And they said maybe the ghost was actually looking for something, which is why it was coming to the wardrobe. But from accounts, it sounded more like the ghost was leaving the wardrobe. But anyway, he thought maybe there was something in the wardrobe that the ghost wanted. Maybe in the past, when it belonged to somebody else. And of course, after the different owners, those things in the wardrobes aren't there anymore. But the ghost doesn't know that. But anyway, Mr. Rundle thought, well, maybe there's a secret compartment in the wardrobe or something. And he'd investigate and try and find out. So he took the whole wardrobe apart, but he didn't find anything. It was just a wardrobe. And so he put it back together. And very strangely, when he did put it back together, everything stopped. There was no more bangings. And maybe something was esoterically disconnected when Mr. Rundle took the wardrobe apart. Who's to know? What do you think? Why don't you write down in your comments and let me know what you think. So would you buy something that's haunted, that you know that was haunted? Would you go out and look for something like that? Write down in the comments and let me know, because I don't think I would. Just not knowing what I was getting. Of course, it's lots of descriptions, but still, like getting a pet, there's the caretaker of it. You've got to look after it and treat it right. You don't want any revengeful spirits coming back at you either. So, yeah, let me know and tell me what you think. And I'll be very interested to read your comments. And as I said, if you did like this episode, just click the button below. It's a bit short this time, but I've just been just so busy with lots of things, but I'm getting back out there again. So, which is why it's important, if you did like this, to also subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and click the bell so you'll be notified when I do get another episode out. So looking forward to the next episode, and also getting the shop actually selling something. And as I said before, do write in the comments what you would like me to sell in the shop. Okay, so that's it for me. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, take care. And as I say, stay well and happy, because it's all in the mind. Well, it's mental projections. That's another episode. I'll see you soon.